What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about how the gig economy can be used if you're somebody who's finding yourself in a financial rut. Maybe you're somebody who is finding yourself behind on bills, accumulating debt, or simply just living paycheck to paycheck. If any of these things describe you and your financial situation, then you will not want to miss this video because I'll be breaking down exactly what you need to do and exactly how you need to utilize the gig economy in order to get ahead financially. So let's get started. I was in a pretty big financial rut back in 2018. Now I'm not going to go into the details of this video because I have mentioned it in a few of my other videos, but long story short, I was not only making no money at the end of 2018, but I also was in a deep financial hole. For a few months, I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought that I may have to file for bankruptcy. I thought that I may have to move out of my house and live with my parents. I didn't know what I was going to do to survive, but I had to fix the problem that I found myself in. And around that same period of time is whenever I decided to start really leaning into the gig economy. I started doing gig work with freelancing, so I started building websites for people, doing social media marketing for people. I really leaned into Turo and I started doing weird freelancing jobs for anybody that would accept me and pay me money to do a job for them. After a few months, I was able to slowly get out of the hole. And now sitting here today in January of 2021, I am not only out of this financial hole that I was in, but I'm also making six figures as well. Because of the gig economy, I was able to get out of that financial hole, and thus I was able to pursue other opportunities that would be more lucrative. And I'm a full believer that if it was not for the gig economy, I would not be in the financial position that I'm in today. And I really do accredit gig work and the gig economy for allowing me to eventually get to the six-figure income mark that I'm at now. So really what I would like to address in this video is how to get yourself out of a financial rut, specifically using the gig economy as a tool. So I'm going to lay out what you should keep in mind, what to do before you start gig work, and what to do during your gig working journey to utilize all of your profits as much as possible. But before we dig into all those juicy details, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, Cover. Now, there are a lot of great benefits to taking part in the gig economy. There's the flexibility, the freedom, the fact that you work for yourself, and so much more. But one of the downsides of the gig economy is the lack of financial stability. The fact that if something happens to you, your income is cut at the source. The fact that if you get sick, if you get in a car accident, if you're ever hospitalized, you are not able to make any money and you don't get any sick days, any leave days, or anything like that. But that's where Cover comes in. With Cover, you can have some of the financial stability and some of the financial benefits that come with a traditional 9-to-5. From sick leave to paid time off and so much more, Cover offers a slew of financial benefits so that you can rest easy knowing that you'll be protected even if you're not able to work. Additionally, Cover offers medical telehealth professionals, a bookkeeping team, and a legal team in the case that your gig working platform is wrongfully terminated. If you guys are interested in checking out Cover and seeing all of the benefits they offer for yourself, then Cover has provided a link for all of my subscribers and all of the viewers of this channel. All you have to do is follow the link down in my description below. I will also pin one in the comment section as well. You follow that link and that will give you 1 free month of Cover. No obligations, no contracts, and no long-term commitments. So if you're interested in checking out Cover, I would definitely encourage you to click on that link and give it a try for yourself. Thank you, Cover, for sponsoring this video. Now let's dig into the nitty-gritty on how to get out of a financial hole, specifically using the gig economy. Now, the first step of getting out of a hole and solving a problem is to figure out what the problem is and what the root cause of that issue is. Now, the fact is, if you're finding yourself in a financial hole, you probably are in debt, you probably are accumulating more and more debt, you're probably falling behind on your bills, and you're probably living paycheck to paycheck. Now, these are just assumptions, and some, if not all of these, may apply to you. Now, the fact is that all of these are just consequences of one single problem. They are not the root cause of the problem. The root cause is often something that you may be doing, or maybe something that's going on in your life. And that's when you need to ask yourself, why am I falling behind on my bills? Why am I not able to make enough money to survive? Why am I accumulating more and more debt? The answer to this question and finding the answer to it is the first step in solving the problem as a whole. Are you living paycheck to paycheck because you're simply spending too much money? Are you living paycheck to paycheck because you're simply not making enough money? Are you accumulating debt because you're not managing your finances enough? What is the cause of these problems? It's incredibly important to figure out what that problem is, because if you don't solve the problem, if you don't get down to the root cause of all of these issues, making more money probably won't solve your problems. It will just exacerbate them. I encourage you to sit down one night and to really take a deep dive into your finances. Figure out exactly how much money you're bringing in each month, figure out exactly how much money you're spending each month, and then figure out where things are going wrong. Once you answer these three questions, once you figure out where your money's coming in, where you're spending your money, and what's going wrong with your money, once you figure out these three things, you can then begin the process of solving the problem as a whole, and thus making more money, allowing you to get out of this hole. The second thing that needs to be answered, that needs to be figured out, is how much more money do you need? How much are you falling behind each and every month? And will making an extra $100 a month solve your problems? Will making an extra $50 a month solve your problems? Will making an extra $500 a month solve your problems? Or do you need to be making an extra $2,000 to $3,000 per month? You really need to answer this question and figure out how much extra money you need to be making per month, because whatever that figure is will drastically dictate what type of gig job you need to get. The fact is that gig jobs are not all created equal, and there are some gig jobs that are much more lucrative than others. And depending on how much money you need to be making extra each and every month, that will heavily dictate which type of gig jobs you should and can pursue. Now, once you figure out what the root cause of your problem is, and you've figured out how much money you need to break even at the end of each month, now is the question of how much money do you want to save at the end of each month? Because the fact is, excelling financially isn't just about breaking even, but it's about being able to save each and every month as well. And you need to decide how much money you need to make to not only break even, but to also be able to leave room to save as well. Now, this will be heavily dictated by you and your financial situation. But for me personally, I like to save as much money as I can at the end of each month. And I don't really have a specific number that I aim for, except that I'm wanting to save the majority of my income. For you, of course, that may not be possible depending on your financial situation. But I would encourage you to start making incremental goals. Maybe for the first 6 months, your goal is to just save $50. Maybe for the first year, it's to save $100 on average. Maybe once you get your feet wet in the gig economy and you start expanding your operations, maybe it's saving $200 per month. Whatever the case is, I would encourage you to have some sort of figure that you aim to save each and every month. Because once you save money, that's a way that you can then help yourself flourish later on. Saving money will leave you room to invest later, to potentially buy property later, to invest in other ventures later. Saving money is really the key to the equation of being able to flourish financially. And if you're breaking even each month, even if you're not accumulating debt, that still is not a great situation to be in. So you don't want to just break even, but you also want to save money each and every month. And you can do this using the gig economy. Now, the next step is actually figuring out what type of gig work you want to take part in. Now, again, depending on how much money you need to make each and every month to not only break even, but to also save at the end of each month, this will be the two factors that you need to keep in mind when pursuing the gig economy. So let's say, for example, you need to make an extra $500 per month. This would allow for you to pay all of your bills, to not fall into debt, and to be able to pay for all of your obligations. And it would allow for you to save a little bit at the end of the month. If you need to make an extra $500 per month, that equals out to $125 per week. And that equals out to just under $20 per day. Now, whenever you break it down that way, $20 per day is nothing. I mean, you could do that with a ton of different gigs. You could do Uber, you could do Lyft, you could do DoorDash, you could do Postmates. I mean, the options are very literally limitless. You could probably Uber or Lyft for 1 hour a day and meet that $20 per day mark. Now, let's say, for example, you need to make an extra $2,000 per month. Well, this is a bit harder, and at this point, you would have to make an extra $500 per week, which equals out to just below $72 per day. Now, this is more difficult, but isn't impossible, and this is where we get into kind of more of those professional style gigs. Things like freelancing on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. Things like being a virtual assistant, figuring out how to do social media marketing, or even veering into website design. All of these different gigs are ways that you could make $72 or more per day using the gig economy. Now, the thing to keep in mind with the gig economy, especially when it comes to these kind of higher ticket jobs, it is important to understand that the barrier to entry into these types of gigs that are more professional, that pay more money, that are more accessible from home, they do have a larger barrier to entry. And you probably will have to have some sort of experience, or at least the willingness to learn in industries like digital marketing, like virtual assistants, like data entry, and so much more. Whenever it comes to making, 4 figures extra per month through the gig economy, I think that freelancing is the best way to do it. Leaning into platforms like Upwork, like Fiverr, like Freelancer, these are all great paths to go down. In fact, this is the exact path I went down. So again, if you're somebody who's just needing to make an extra couple $100s per month, leaning into these more traditional gig jobs, things like Uber, Lyft, Postmates, Fiverr, things like that, then these are great options to go down. But if you're somebody who's wanting to make some extra money, potentially $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, that's whenever we start getting into the real nitty-gritty of the gig economy. And that's when we really start going into the lucrative avenues that you can explore. Things like Freelancer, Fiverr, Upwork, even Turo or Airbnb would be excellent options. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail on these high-ticket gig jobs because I've talked about it a lot on this channel. But if you're interested in checking out how to get involved with freelancing, I will include a video that I did on that in deep detail down in the description below. Now, the last question is, what should you do with your money once you've made it through your gig work? And that's a really good question. I would encourage you to either spend that money on bills and expenses, use it to pay down debt, or use it and put it in your savings account immediately. Don't even let it sit in your checking account. The reason is that once money is sitting there, it then allows for you to feel as though you have extra money to spend. And the fact is, with the gig economy earnings you're making, we're not wanting to spend that money. We either want to use it to survive, use it to pay off debt, or use it to save for a later opportunity. And it's really important to keep track of that and to be accountable to that. That way you don't find yourself in the same cycle that you've been in, only now you're just spending more money than you were before. Now, I understand this is a really oversimplified and direct solution to a really complicated problem. But the fact is that getting out of debt and solving your financial issues doesn't have to be complicated. And ultimately, most of the time, it really is just a matter of making more money each and every month. And with the gig economy, with technology, and with the opportunities we have today in January 2021, I believe that it has never been easier to make extra money. And using the gig economy is one of the best ways to do this. If you lean into the gig economy, if you figure out what the root cause of your problem is, if you figure out how much money you need to survive, and then if you figure out how much money you need to save, if you take all three of these things in mind and then find a gig job that aligns with you, your values, and your goals, you will get out of a financial rut. I can almost promise you. With that being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.